I am pleased to introduce our next keynote, Jill Pavlovich. She's the SVP of Digital Shopping Experiences at Albertsons, where she oversees the customer experience that bridges digital and physical retail. She's being interviewed by Melissa Repko, reporter at CNBC, and they're gonna have a conversation about how Albertsons transitioned from a traditional brick-and-mortar retailer to a digital powerhouse that embraces omnichannel excellence. Please join me in welcoming Jill and Melissa to the Commerce Next stage.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We're gonna start with the video and a closer look at what Albertsons is doing before we jump into our conversation.
Hi there, we're Albertsons. You probably know us as your friendly local grocery store, but we're so much more. We're here to help you discover, plan, shop, and save on all your grocery and wellness needs, in-store and online. We know food is important. You think about it 226 times a day, but you've got a lot of things on your mind and not a lot of time. That's why we've cooked up a connected experience to make shopping faster and easier. Get inspired with delicious recipes that fit your budget and lifestyle. Then easily add the ingredients to your cart. Find the best deals and fresh foods. Set wellness goals and get rewarded. Skip a trip by picking up prescriptions with your groceries. Millions of customers use our app every month to plan, shop, and save. So let's turn chore time into more time for the things you love. Sincerely, your one stop for planning, shopping, saving, and so much more. Albertsons.
Great, well that's a good look at the way that customers are changing the way they shop and what they expect from grocers like Albertsons. But I first wanted to go a little bit back in time. You started outside of the grocery world at Wayfair, and I'm curious what you learned from the experience of working for a D2C and what you brought to Albertsons because of that.
Yeah, well, I think I actually have to go even further back in time to my days and upbringing as a traditional fashion merchandising, because it was in that type of role that I really learned customer centricity, as well as operating a business with precision. There's no pressure like developing a product line that's gonna fit on a physical fixture in a defined square footage of space on a retail floor, and you get maybe 4 to 8 styles in a season to get it right. And as I took the leap out of traditional fashion merchandising and into digital with Wayfair, Wayfair gave me the most unbelievable, like mind-bending crash course in digital and building digital products and digital experiences for customers. And the thing that they really taught me about it was building experiences that scale and that are extensible to other areas of the business. So if I have to think about what I've brought from those experiences to grocery, not being in grocery, it's really that customer obsession from my traditional merchandising days, and then the ability to build experiences with extensibility and scalability.
What do you think are the biggest ways that customers' expectations, particularly in grocery, have changed? I think we went through so much change with the pandemic, but we're seeing a little bit of settling out and maybe what the new normal truly is.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, COVID, as crazy as those times were, did something amazing for the traditional grocery industry. It disrupted it, and it really made us focus on e-commerce, which wasn't a priority historically in the grocery space. And as we've come out of that, like urgent sense of just figure out how to get customers groceries online and fast, we started to take a look at the deeper consumer mindsets behind purchasing groceries, behind planning for meals. And as the video nodded to, we started to unpack all these studies that show that customers think about food 226 times a day. That's a lot of cognitive load. And as we thought about taking the experience from a transactional grocery e-commerce experience to a helpful set of tools that could help people manage this cognitive load, it changed the way we looked at both our customer and the tools digitally that we needed to build for them.
We see that almost every retailer, particularly in the grocery space, has curbside pickup. It's become table stakes. What can you do differently as a retailer, and what are you doing as a retailer that's different?
Yeah, it is table stakes. You have to be able to pick up, and you also have to deliver to groceries. It's how we remain competitive. You know, the first thing that we really focus on is, and we believe deeply, is brilliant at the basics. Customers have expectations in this space. They want what they ordered, they want it on time, and they want it for a good value. And so we focus first and foremost on that operational excellence. Are the pickers picking the right product on the behalf of their customers? Are they picking it like the customer would? Bringing that sense of pride to that task. We measure metrics around on-time handoffs and order accuracy and all of that. And then as we think about delivering value, it's the convenience features like location tracking and awareness that you can tell us when you arrive at the store and we know you're there and we meet you at your trunk, but also having really sharp delivery fees. We have some of the lowest fees in the market, as well as no cost for pickup. We do not charge customers anything to do the picking on their behalf if they're driving the store to pick up their groceries.
Wanted to double click on a few of the different features that you're doing to make life easier for customers, because I've noticed one of the through lines with almost every grocer now is convenience. Busyness has returned to our lives, and so to the extent that it's possible to automate those boring tasks like getting the same gallon of milk and eggs, we want to do that. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing in that space. We've talked about how you're allowing people to shop for a recipe, for example. So let's talk about a few specific examples.
Sure. Well, as we went on that journey to unpack, what exactly are people thinking about 226 times a day, whether it's planning to shop, whether it's actually shopping, whether it's managing different dietary preferences or wellness needs within the household, or looking for recipe inspiration to figure out what to buy or what to cook. A few kind of themes started to emerge, right? We realized that 60% of what you buy week over week from a grocery store is the same. That's a chore that doesn't need to be a chore. So that led us to release features and initiatives that enable customers to put their weekly grocery shop on autopilot, like a subscription service, right? This is the basket I buy week over week. Can I just put it on autopilot and have it show up at my door or be ready at the store to pick up same time every week without fail? The other things that started to emerge was how hard customers were looking for inspiration. 80% of households search the World Wide Web for recipes, right? And we thought to ourselves, we could do that for our customers. We could actually give them not just a grocery app for shopping, but an app that can provide inspirational recipe inspiration. And we launched our shoppable recipe and meal planning capability, which now has over 9,000 proprietary recipes. It's a service that we give all of our customers for free. They can shop these recipes by dietary preference, household size, and add ingredients to cart with one click. And we don't end there. Once they receive their order, or they pick up their order, or they go to the store and buy it, we actually have a cook mode where they can cook the recipes with just waving their hand. So thinking about that end-to-end need. And then I think one of the last ones, and maybe one of the more surprising ones that we were uncovered with our customers, was that it wasn't just online shopping that there were complexities and burdens and hardships. They were actually struggling to shop our stores, whether they were in the same store that they were always shopping or a new one because they were in a different neighborhood for whatever reason at that time. They needed help. They needed access to services and departments, deals that were relevant to that store and the products in that store, and aisle location. And that led to us launching in-store mode, which makes our digital app a personal remote control for the store, and it gives customers seamless access to everything that store has to offer, like counter departments, order ahead capabilities, aisle location, deal clipping, and more.
Obviously, those tools help you stand out from other retailers, but what evidence do you have they're actually lifting your sales and leading to better engagement?
Yeah, well, I can't share specific proof points on the feature level, but we've seen a surge in digital sales of over 24%. We've seen an increase in loyalty members of 16%, almost reaching 40 million loyalty members. And our app has recently hit a 4.8 star rating. And then just recently, we actually won a Webby People's Choice Award for Best Shopping and Retail App. So while we have a long way to go and still a lot of work to do on behalf of our customers, we feel like we're on the right path.
Take us a little bit behind the scenes, because before you noticed the popularity of these tools with customers, I'm sure there were some learnings along the way, things that didn't go maybe as smoothly. Can you tell us about a few flops that you had or a couple of pivots you've had to make?
Honestly, with every experience that I just mentioned, we had a flop or a pivot, right? When you build digital tools, even if you spend time talking to your customers over and over and over that we did and testing over and over and over, when you put a feature out, the way that customers ultimately engage with it, discover it, use it, slightly different than what you imagined. And so in each one of those cases, we did quick pivots, and schedule and save. Order edit flexibility was kind of a aha moment, but something we needed to bring to our customers fast.
What do you mean by that? What was the change you made there?
So in a typical subscription program, it's kind of set it and forget it, right? But people also have one-time ads every week, the things that aren't the 60% of their week-over-week grocery shop. So making it really easy to combine those orders. And in-store mode, realizing that it wasn't actually the aisle location and being able to find products is super hard and super important, but they actually wanted access to deals that were in that store really quickly. And so, reorienting the experience around the stack rank of customer preferences and needs was another learning for us there.
What are you doing to personalize the experience for shoppers, especially as you learn more about them from their engagement?
Yeah, well, we follow the customer's leads always, and we're doing, the normal things to make that next transaction super easy, like buy it again carousels, did you forget to add based on their last order, or quick start cart, which is a pre-built basket based on what we believe they're going to buy in that trip. But as we think about the future, right, it's deepening that engagement with them, where they want to be known. Do they want to put their dietary preferences into our meal plan so we can filter the entire experience around their dietary preference? Do they want us to bridge, and how deeply do they want us to bridge that digital and physical experience, knowing them in the store and online? So again, I think the possibilities are limitless, and how deep we go is really up to the customers.
What do you think are the biggest trends that are shaping how customers are grocery shopping right now, beyond just online or offline? What are they looking for that's different, and how are you trying to keep up with some of those trends?
Yeah, well, I think we're starting to see this slight, and maybe not even so subtle, shift towards health and towards the kind of merging of what people are putting in their bodies and health and wellness conditions. And so, that did actually inspire Albertsons to launch an entire health experience within the app, where you can get basket insights and help manage conditions and chronic illnesses, get recommendations, link your smart devices. It's just another way to stay motivated. So it's a trend that we're really seeing and we're trying to get ahead of. And I think the way people shop for groceries is going to really be disrupted with Gen Z as they start to become, heads of households and shopping for their families. And I'm really excited for that session later today to understand how they're making purchasing decisions.
Yes, maybe you could take some insights back to work and
That's the plan.
Apply them. Are there any glimmers of insights you've gotten so far about how maybe younger millennials or Gen Z shops for groceries?
Just that they want to be online. Right? They expect the convenience. So we have to make it super easy for them to build a basket, and especially that first basket. How can we take the basking, build it in time, and cut it in half, and then again in half again? How can we get it to them as fast as possible? And how do we then provide the inspiration for meal prep, whether that's cook at home or a pre-built meal or something that's ready to heat and serve? How do we get that inspiration to them on their medians?
You talked a little bit about the new different features you've launched, and maybe it would be good to talk a little bit about the process of how you get from idea to execution, because that's something our audience probably goes through on their own. So if they could pull up a slide, you'd walked through a slide with me about how you get through that process. So hopefully, yep, it's up now. So maybe you can pick whatever tool you'd like to talk about how you got from what sparked the idea to launching it.
Sure. Well, this is just a very high level. That's a slide that tells you everything and nothing at all. But we talked about understanding that deeper customer mindset, that deeper mental model of a customer. 226 times a day they're thinking about food, both subconsciously and consciously. And so that led us to just ask different questions. What are they thinking about? Why are they thinking about it so much? What is burdening them, right? And then we started reaching out to customers. We were looking at various ways to reach out to them, whether it was, hey, understand in their NPS survey or another survey what they're already using from us and other grocery retailers, who they're shopping. Interview them to understand what their largest pain points are when they think about planning their weekly shop or their weekly meals for their family. And then, putting some things out into market fast, quick, test and learn, show them some wireframes, see if we got it right? And as you start to have all of these conversations with customers in the various forms that we can communicate to them, their most urgent needs bubble up to the top, and they do it pretty obvious. But we can't just address the needs, we also have to think about our business, right? And so we have a limited bandwidth, we can only do so much at once. And so the process we then use is to kind of rank and prioritize based on customer impact and business impact. And that's why things like in-store mode, schedule and save, flash delivery, we talked about a little bit about earlier, bubbled up to the top. These are in shoppable recipes and meal plans, these are customers' big pain points that we wanted to solve urgently, and they had some positive business outcomes.
When you're testing these ideas, one of the unique features that Albertsons has is you have multiple grocery brands.
Oh, yes.
So Tom Thumb, Randall's, Safeway, et cetera. Do you use any of them as kind of the laboratory for an idea, or how do you test something out before you scale it?
All of them. All of them get used as a laboratory. It depends on what we're testing, the customer makeup of that particular store or that region. We will always test in a small set of stores in one particular banner before rolling out. Mm-hmm. And then even during rollout, we have, rollout protocols where we measure it rolled out to 50% of the population and then proceed from there.
What do you think are some of the mistakes that retailers make when trying to launch new ideas to serve their customers?
I think the biggest mistake one can probably make is thinking that a customer needs this, thinking that it's customer backed, but not actually verifying that. Whether it is that customer panel who you go to vet ideas, whether it is putting something out in the market and listening to the customers, truly listening to the voice of the customer. If you don't listen to the customer, you're bound to build something that the customer is not going to use.
When you look at the future of grocery, what do you think are going to be some of the biggest forces of change?
Biggest forces of change. Well, I think more customers are going to start purchasing groceries online, right? If you look across the world and you look in Europe, 30% of grocery purchases happen online. We're far from that today. So I think, people's need for convenience and speed isn't going away. It's only going to amplify. And as these, very digitally native and savvy generations graduate into that post-college world, they're going to force us to change. They're going to force us to be more innovative. They're going to force us to be more convenient online. And we're going to have a tough job ahead of us to keep up with their evolving needs and how fast they're going to expect changes in their technical and digital experiences.
It seems like you're also anticipating the app will continue to be very relevant in the store. And I'm curious how you think that might evolve. With being kind of the remote control, how do you make sure people do, use their phone in the store and maybe intensify their loyalty as a result of that?
I mean, we are wired to our devices, right? I can't come up here, this is just a large phone basically, right? And that's not going away, that's not stopping. So finding that intersection with the customer, which is how is this device helpful in this moment, if we know that you're a recipe user and you constantly seek inspiration and you're in the fresh department, might you imagine or might you want helpful recipes for the avocados that you're looking at, right? These are things that we're just imagining, right? And that customers may not even want. But I think there is a moment where our devices and a retailer can come together and truly unlock our humanness, make us superhumans and more effective and faster at what we're doing, and take the chore out of some of this stuff.
Well, thank you so much for your insights today, Jill. Hopefully people can test some of the features you talked about, and I definitely think convenience will continue to be a hot topic in the world of retail.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.